if somebody came to me and said, what should I do fitness-wise as a golfer? I want to improve my golf game. Running is not going to be anywhere near the top of my list just because it's so different than what we're trying to do. Running is pretty much simply an endurance sport. So even though golf is a long sport, golf is very much a power sport. It's kind of a strange hybrid because we're trying to create as much power when we're actively playing golf, and then we walk in between. So that's why, to me, a better use of your time is to go and do some form of strength and resistance training that, again, ties in the ability to improve your mobility and the ability for you to move really well. But running is not highly correlated to improvement in golf. There's going to be benefits, but it's not the first thing that I would have somebody do.
Hi, this is June Gaston from Colorado Springs, Colorado, and I play at Cherokee Ridge Golf Course, Golf Smarter number 825.
Your workout routine and diet may not be helping your golf game with Jeff Pelizzaro of 18Strong.
This is Golf Smarter, sharing stories, tips, and insights from great golf minds to help you lower your score and raise your golf IQ. Here's your host, Fred Green.
Welcome to the Golf Smarter Podcast, Jeff.
Fred, thanks for having me, man.
Hey, I'm excited to talk to you because, first of all, I like talking to other podcasters. But second of all, I like the fitness idea for golfers. I don't want to just talk about swing mechanics or mental game because I think that there's a critical element here that a lot of people are missing, and that is your fitness, your mobility, your flexibility. And now you're introducing me to something completely what I wasn't anticipating, and that is strength.
Yep. Strength is we like to say that strength is the mother of all athletic qualities. So it kind of is it's our big domino that when we're working with our golfers, we preach strength first and utilize that in order to help build the mobility and build the stability and even build the flexibility that they're looking for. But we utilize it in a way where they can gain power and the ability to hit the ball further and do all these different things. But by adding strength to your body, adding strength to your game, adding strength to your workouts, you're going to get a lot more benefit than if you're just working on flexibility or mobility drills, or you're just working on your cardio or those type of things. Because I think so many people resort to just hitting either the treadmill or going out for a jog or going and doing one of these facets. But you can get a lot of those things done if you build in a strength program properly.
Yeah, so let's break that down. Let's start with strength versus flexibility, right? And how strength can actually enhance flexibility.
Yeah, so we make a distinction between the words flexibility and mobility. Because many people use those synonymously, and I think most golfers, just for ease sake, they say flexibility when ultimately I think what they really mean is they want mobility. And the difference there is... Sorry
to interrupt, but I am guilty of that as well. I mean, for a long, long time, I never even considered the word mobility until, I don't know, maybe a year or two ago that somebody I was interviewing and it's like, no, there's a difference. I'm like, oh. So that's why I said, let's start with strength versus flexibility, and we'll get to mobility next.
Yeah, I think that most people don't really realize that there is a difference, and I don't know that people need to really get stuck on the fact that there is. That's for us fitness nerds to kind of worry about and argue about and all that kind of stuff. But basically, just to kind of give a little differentiation, is flexibility to me is if I had you like laying on the ground, I'm stretching out your hamstrings, let's say, pulling one leg up towards the ceiling. The amount that I can pull your leg up towards the ceiling until you feel that really strong stretch, that's to me how flexible you are. Now, if I let go and then you try to raise your leg all the way up by yourself, that's then how much mobility you have. It's how much can you control with your own active muscles. And that's really what we do in every activity, every sport-related activity, our golf swing. We have to be the ones to create that amount of movement. And so we need that mobility at your joints, at your, through your muscles and in these different positions. So when we're talking about strength versus flexibility is just kind of passive range of motion. How far can I can I push or pull on a part of my body? Whereas strength and mobility are very closely tied together, because the strength is how well your muscles can actively pull you into a position, or how well your muscles can move some sort of resistance. And so when we're building out a program for somebody, or when we have somebody exercising, we encourage them to be able to move really well through all ranges of motion against resistance, so that when they are in a situation of swinging a golf club, it's easier for them to get into those positions, because there's nothing else that's going to be kind of pushing or pulling on them aside from their own muscular force.
And talking again, flexibility, mobility, the two varies. You focus on the golf element of it. I mean, a lot of people go and they'll do TRX, and they'll build up their strength, they'll build up resistance and their cardio, but that may not help for golfers. And you at 18Strong kind of make that your center point.
Yeah, 18Strong
right?
is completely built around the idea that, and we are primarily for the everyday golfer. I work personally with some high level golfers here in St. Louis, and with one of the guys on the PGA Tour. But 18Strong, our online platform, is geared more towards the everyday golfer that has other responsibilities. They don't have time to, they don't have a medical team and a fitness team and all these different entourages. They've got other responsibilities like a family and a job, and they are short on time just like everybody else. And so what we want them to do is get the most out of their workouts. So their workouts have to be able to, first and foremost, prevent them from getting hurt. So that's kind of always our number one, is making sure that they're not injuring themselves so they can go out on the golf course. And I don't know about you, Fred, but I've seen a lot of injuries that don't happen necessarily just because of what they did on the golf course, but I've seen people get injured, walking down the street or doing something at home, or, lifting something off the floor. And so everything that we do is not geared towards the golf swing, but we always have in the back of our mind that this person that we're working with needs their body to be able to move like a golfer needs to be able to move. So our workouts incorporate a lot of general strength principles, a lot of general fitness principles, but we know that we also have to incorporate things like rotation and anti-rotation, and we have to really work on the shoulders and the hips, because those are the big pieces that the golfer will need and benefit from. And if we don't include those things in these programs, we're shortchanging the golfer. And that's when doing a generalized fitness program won't necessarily give you as much benefit if it doesn't have those components that are also needed to be able to move well on the golf course.
Wait. What is anti-rotation? You said rotation and anti-rotation.
Great question. So we
Gotcha.
tend, as golfers, we rotate all the time, right? That's our thing. That's our favorite thing to do, is rotate when we swing. And so when golfers go to the gym and they want to work on something for their golf game, the first inclination they do is they go and they grab a cable and they just start rotating things. And they think that just by doing rotation with resistance, that's going to be the best exercise for them. And while that can be very beneficial, what we needed to also do is learn how to teach our body how to stay stable and strong against the forces of rotation. And so an anti-rotation exercise would be a situation where you're trying to hold your body still while there's an external force trying to pull you into rotation. So that can be done in a lot of different ways. One is just as simple as if you were to grab, let's say, a cable, and the cable is behind you and you're pressing forward. You can do that two ways. You can press and rotate with it. Let's say you're just using your right arm, because I know people can't see me right now. But let's say you're using just your right arm to press this cable forward, like a punch. You can punch and you can let your upper body rotate as you go in and out of that motion, or you can keep your trunk stable and you can just press against the resistance. And now that resistance also wants to pull you into a rotation, but you're having to stay really, really still. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I know it's hard for people to visualize. We've got several videos actually on our YouTube channel. If you go to our YouTube channel and you look up anti-rotation or rotation, we've got some videos there. But another really good one would be if you grab that cable. Let's say you take the cable and you got the handle right in front of your chest, and you just step sideways away from the cable machine. So the cable is pulling directly lateral of you, and you try to press that cable straight out in front of you. That cable's trying to pull you towards the side. If you keep still there, it's working all of your trunk muscles to prevent you from rotating towards that cable machine. That would be an anti-rotation exercise. An external force is trying to get you to rotate, and you have to use your core, your trunk, your abdominal muscles, your shoulders, your legs, everything to prevent that rotation. And that helps build that stability. So when you are trying to swing a golf club 90, 100, 110 miles an hour, your body knows how to react and how to stay still in the pieces that it needs to stay still while the rest of your body is rotating around it.
Well, congratulations. I think you do an excellent job knowing that people are just listening only, but still being able to verbalize what you're trying to get across. That was very good.
Well,
thank you. You're welcome. Let's take a time out and we'll celebrate. We'll be right back. Jeff, I'm 66 years old, all right? And I probably would get very frustrated if I walked into it's somebody, fitness, physical therapist, something, tell them I'm a golfer and that's what I'm trying to accomplish, and they start showing me videos of 22-year-old PGA players. So like, here's what you need to do. And it's like, dude, this is the age of my children's children. I mean, it's like, this is, I can't do that, and I don't expect that I will. And honestly, I don't know how hard I'm going to work to get to that spot. So what do you do for, I guess, age specific on helping people increase their strength, flexibility, mobility, who are getting older?
I think that's funny because I have seen coaches or pros where they, one of my clients will go to them or they'll take an online lesson and yeah, they compare their swing to Dustin Johnson or, Rory McIlroy or whoever it might be. And it's like, have they seen the way that we move? Like I'm 43 and like, there's no way that I was just at a client's house the other day and he brought me in. He's got a sweet setup in his basement and his son was hitting balls. His son is, I think, 15 years old. And he's like, hey, watch him swing. And the way that this kid's body moves, he hit a 300-yard drive,
cleaner, right?
300-yard drive on the track, man. And I'm like, man, if I tried to do that the way that kid just moved right now, and I feel like I'm a fairly fit, active guy, I would have torn something and been going to the hospital. But you're right. It's like it doesn't make sense to compare our bodies to the tour pros because, first of all,
correct.
Typically, they're way younger. They have some of the best mobility and movement and strength and instruction and everything. So when I have somebody come into the gym, no matter who it is, and I've worked with clients from the age of 13 up to I think 82 right now here in person, and it's always about where are they right now. And let's do an assessment, look at how they move, what do they need,
great,
and then how do we then improve on those things? And where are the things that we are going to really spend time on? And what are the things that we know, like, hey, if we really try to work on this, we're just banging our head against the wall. I know that I'm not going to get the 80-year-olds hip mobility to look like the 30-year-olds or the 25-year-olds or
40
whatever
or
that
the
might
50.
be. Yeah,
right.
And so it's like, okay, what are the big rocks? What are the big things that we need to work on? And for me, it typically boils down to, especially with, the crowd that we're typically talking to, which is somewhere between the ages of 35 to 65, I'd say is kind of our wheelhouse at 18Strong. I know that we need to get their trunk, their upper body moving well. Most of this crowd is kind of in that rounded shoulder posture because we all tend to do everything in front of us, sit at a desk, sit in a car, on our phones all the time. So working on just some of those postural things, opening up the chest and strengthening the upper back, making sure that the hips are moving pretty well. If they're not, maybe we need to look at adjusting their feet in their golf swing too. Sometimes you don't even have to work specifically on getting a part of the body better and more mobile right away, you can make a little adjustment in their stance or their posture just to allow them a little bit more freedom in their swing first and foremost. So I would say the first thing is just kind of looking at where they are and then saying, okay, what are the things that we really want to spend some time on? And then what are some of the general exercises that I want you to start doing? Typically, it's going to be some sort of, lunge type activity, squats, those kinds of things. And this could be body weight. This could be with dumbbells, this depending on the person. It's all adjustable to whatever level they're at. And how do we then just make little improvements from there?
I'm sure that I remember distinctly after turning 40, and I'm sure you're recognizing this now, that it takes longer to recover from things. Where now, if I tried to swing like the kid, the 15-year-old kid, and walking 18 holes, and here in Northern California, you rarely have a flat golf course. So, that to me is a great day of being able to walk the course. But now I'm like, okay, my body is a little bit achy tonight, and I'm going to go take a hot tub. And then tomorrow I'm going to get up and do my stretching for a good half hour plus. Is that just me, or is it really that your recovery time as you get older, 40, 50, 60, this is what I've noticed, is recovery from when I was playing sports in my 30s, it's like, I'll be good at the end of the game. In the 40s, it's like, it's going to take a week or so, right? Feel better. And then now it's like, this may go away before the end of the year. I don't know.
Yeah, I never wanted to believe it. I always thought that was a urban legend that as you turn 40, 45, 50 and beyond, that you start to get these aches and pains. But I feel it just like everybody else does. And it's a real thing. We don't, our bodies aren't as resilient and restorative as they were when we were little kids. That's just a fact. I mean, you look at a little kid, first of all, they rarely, if ever, pull a muscle, strain a muscle. Their bodies are like rubber. They can bounce off of things. That even when they break things, they heal so much faster. And as we age, our bodies just change to where they don't do that nearly as well and nearly as efficiently. What we really encourage people to do in order to help kind of combat some of that is simply to stay as active as possible. Not necessarily that you have to go and do, an hour or 2 hours worth of exercise every single day, but we preach doing what we call our daily motion drills, or we changed the name. We started calling it our Move EFD, and EFD stands for every effing day, because people just weren't realizing how important we really think it is to just get your neck, your shoulders, your trunk, your hips, your ankles, all of these things, just doing like some basic joint circles and these basic little movements on a daily basis. So you stay a little bit more what I like to call perpetually warmed up. So you don't have to get to the course an hour early and do this, every Saturday morning because you didn't do it for the whole week beforehand. But the more you can move on a regular basis, just a little bit, but do it consistently, that helps to keep your muscles a little bit more mobile. That helps to keep your joints and your tendons. It gives them the kind of the good stress that they need so they can keep moving well, so they don't stiffen up over the course of the week, over the course of the month. And that way they're a little bit more prepared for whatever stressor it's going to experience in the golf game or in your daily life. So injuries only happen when our body takes on a stressor that it can't handle. So if we're constantly creating some good controlled stress, that's actually a very beneficial thing, because it allows our body to be a little bit stronger in different situations. And to us, that's kind of what 18Strong means. The strong is not necessarily deadlifting 500 pounds. The strong is being able to handle stress, or being able to handle forces upon you, your body, your mental, your physical, and being able to do that for 18 holes is kind of where the name came from.
Yeah, that's what I figured, that 18 obviously was about golf, and it's just staying focused and strong, and the whole thing of the wheels falling off.
Yes.
Right? Everyone's exactly. 15th hole, they're like, the wheels are starting to fall off. Well, that's because you're drinking beer, you're eating French fries, and you're sitting in a golf cart.
Yep.
Yeah, the golf cart, your wheels are going to fall off. It's not. Why are you surprised?
And I think that people just they just kind of have come to accept that like, oh, that's just how it is. I get tired on the 14th hole and the game starts to go down. And but that's where we kind of check people a little bit, like, well, why does it have to happen that way? That who says that you have to get tired just because you're 50 or 60 years old, that your back nine has to be worse than your front nine, or you have to start to get aches and pains and things like that, or golfers are supposed to have bad backs. It's like, no, they're not. It's what we've come to accept, and there's things that we can do that will help you prevent those things. And for anybody that puts a little time and effort, that's going to be an advantage over your buddies who were thinking the same way, right? So, and believe me, I love having beers out on the golf course just as much as anybody and having a great time. I mean, that's what it's all about, is going out and enjoying your time out there. But you can't just settle for the fact that everything goes downhill after you hit a certain age, and you just have to accept it.
No, I'm actually hopefully proof that that's not the case. Is I'm playing the best golf of my life now, and I started playing in my 40s, around your age, and I'm playing the best golf of my life right now, and it's because of many things that I'm doing to contribute to that. So, let's take another time out, and I want to get into the diet element of this and other exercising that may contribute or not contribute to the benefit of your game, and we'll do that with Jeff after this. I've talked many times about my buddy Neil that I play golf with and how close we are competitively in golf. And lately, I've kind of been leaving him in the dust. We played yesterday. I beat him by 10 strokes and had to give him 3 strokes. And I'm starting to outdrive him, too. What's interesting about that, he even recently he sent a text to my wife, says, "What are you feeding him?" And she wrote back, "Plants." And last February, I think it is, I gave up red and white meat and eggs. I'm still eating fish. I still do some dairy, mostly cheese, but I think it's made a difference, not only in my stamina and parts of my body that I'm not going to discuss on the podcast, but I've definitely seen some benefit to getting rid of red and white meat from my diet. And Neil does not. Neil loves to prep food, and he loves to barbecue, and he loves his meat. But so she's like, when he responded to her, it's like, "No, I need a better answer than that." It's like, "Oh, that's the answer, dude."
He's like, "Can't you tell me a protein shake or something like that?"
Yeah, right. But actually, Neil's a runner. And that is his exercise, whether it's treadmill or, when he's traveling, just running the streets of the city that he's in. Is running a good sport for a golfer? Is that a good form of exercise to improve a golfer's body?
I would say, and we've talked about this on the podcast a lot. Running is probably pretty low on my list as far as what I would, if somebody came to me and said, what should I do fitness-wise as a golfer? I want to improve my golf game. Running is not going to be anywhere near the top of my list, just because it's so different than what we're trying to do. Running is pretty much simply an endurance sport, depending on the type of running. I assume he's running multiple miles at a time, more of an endurance kind of a run. In golf, even though it's
4 to 6 miles probably. Yeah.
So even though golf is a long sport, and we do traverse, it could be 4 to 7 miles depending on the course, golf is very much a power sport though too. So it's kind of a strange hybrid, because we're basically trying to create as much power when we're actively playing golf, and then we walk in between. So never are we really going to be kind of out of breath. Never are we really going to be taxing our energy systems the way that you would when running. So that's why, to me, I think that a better use of your time is to go and do some form of strength and resistance training that again ties in the ability to improve your mobility and the ability for you to move really well. Now, do I run? Every now and then I do. I actually have a trail run race that I'm doing tomorrow. But that's really kind of the only reason why I've been running, is because I knew that I had this trail run. And I think it's good for you to challenge yourself in different physical ways too. So that's why once a year I try to do something kind of different like this. But it's not for my golf game. Now I do use sprinting occasionally for golfers. I like the high intensity intervals, whether that be on a bike, whether that be a rower, whether that be, maybe even doing sprints outside, as long as the risk doesn't outweigh the reward. There have been times when I've been trying to do sprints myself and I'll tweak a hamstring or something. And then it's kind of like, well, should I, really, was that the best decision, or should I have been on a bike or a rower or something along those lines? I just was talking to a friend of mine. He's getting ready to play in the PGA. They have that championship for the teaching professionals that then allows them to get into, I think, the PGA championship. And he's getting ready for that in, I think it's May or April. And he was asking me about cardio stuff, but he loves playing basketball. And so we'll go do that do that instead of going out and running or getting on a treadmill. That'll be quick bursts of activity, which is a little closer to what we're doing with golf. Now, don't go hurt yourself. Don't, again, the risk versus the risk and rewards is something you have to look at there. But yeah, ultimately, running it's not highly correlated to improvement in golf. There's going to be benefits, but again, it's not the first thing that I would have somebody do. So, sorry, Neil.
Oh no, I can't wait to play him this. I'm just gonna take this part right out and just send it to him, going, yeah, guy, And well, let's talk about diet too. Do you live in St. Louis? So I mean, barbecue is amazing in St. Louis.
Barbecue and beer, both of those things are really good here, right?
And I'll have plenty of stories for you on that when we're finished recording. But yeah, yeah. And what about you? What is your diet? And do you think that the elimination of going to, whether it be a vegan or vegetarian or pescatarian diet, could be helpful for golfers? So
I do still include, I guess I would say quite a bit of red and white meat. I do a lot of chicken. I don't do nearly as much fish as I would like to. I should introduce more of that. I'm a big believer that everyone needs a decent amount of protein. I think a lot of people don't get as much protein as they need. And that goes for somebody that's on a vegetarian diet, somebody that eats red meat, white meat. A lot of times we get too much of the processed stuff, the starchy carbs, those type of things. And so our philosophy at 18Strong is make sure that you get a good amount of protein, good quality protein, and lots of veggies. So I'm 1,000% on board with the fact that most people don't eat nearly enough plants in their diet. In fact, that's one of our rules, is have a vegetable at every meal, breakfast, lunch, dinner. And really some of the things that we preach to our crew is simply, try to, especially when you're really trying to dial things in, whether that be for health reasons, whether that be for body composition, weight loss, try to eliminate the snacking, because a lot of times that's where things can go awry, is eliminate some of the snacking and focus on having good quality meals, 2, 3, 4 meals, but make sure that there's a good protein there, a good source of protein, some sort of vegetable. And then we tend to tell people to lay a little bit more low on the carbohydrates, unless you're working out that day, you're exercising, and you're going to be burning that up as fuel. Our Western diets have become so much of the processed crackers, chips, like all of those things that are delicious, really, and crunchy. Those are the things that I think we overdo. Salty, crunchy. Those are the things that we overdo. And if most people would eliminate a lot of that and replace that with good quality vegetables, just that right there is going to take care of a lot of things. And then regarding golf and performance there, I think it's a secret weapon, really, for you to be eating well. The clarity that you end up getting, the performance in your body. look at the golf and fitness, we look so much to the exercise portion, but we don't necessarily take into effect how much of our mistakes out on the golf course are due to maybe mental errors, mental fatigue, those kind of things. And I find for myself and for the guys and girls that we work with that when they start eating much more cleanly, their mental powers are so much better decision making, better execution of shots. All of those things start to ramp up.
I'm not going to disagree with you on that stuff. And it's interesting because a lot of people, when I have the conversation about, I've pretty much eliminated red and white meat from my diet, they're like, well, what do you do about protein? And it's like, really? You think that that's the only source of protein? I mean, we eat a lot of beans. You get a tremendous amount, and we eat a lot of vegetables and a lot of fruit. And actually, people are like, yeah, but beans, you're going to be farting all day long. It's like, you know what? Since I don't eat meat, I'm not tooting as much as I used to, right? It's really changed my digestive system, and I'm not having issues with beans like I used to. I guess I've built up tolerance as well. But by eliminating the red and white meat from my diet, and I know it's really hard for people to do, but it's made a tremendous difference. And I would highly recommend, if this is at all interesting to you, this is the thing that put me over the top. There's a movie called The Game Changers that I saw that after that movie is like, okay, I'm done. I'm not eating meat anymore. But it's about a guy recovering from an injury, an MMA fighter who was recovering from an injury, and he started doing interviews with people who were excelling in their sport even years after their competitors, or the years older than their competitors, but still outlasting their competitors. And what was the correlation between all these not extreme athletes, but all these athletes who performed on an extreme basis, and they were all vegan. And it's a fascinating movie. And I literally, once I watched it, I'm like, okay, that's it. I'm done. I'm not eating meat anymore. And it was a good decision.
Yeah, I think that documentary really did help people see the fact that you can utilize.
Did you see it?
I did. I did.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's something that a plant-based diet, and I also think that people think that a plant-based diet has to be a no meat diet, which it doesn't have to be. But
okay.
It just primarily means that most people need to bring more veggies into their diet in any way, shape, or form. And one thing that I would caution people with that is make sure you know what you're replacing your protein, because you need to get a certain amount of calories. You have to be diligent about what you're going to be eating still, because there's a lot of vegan things out there. I mean, I think Oreos are vegan, right? So you have to still pay attention to what you're putting in your body. It has to still be good quality, clean stuff. You have to be a little bit more diligent about making sure that you do get the right amount of proteins and that you don't skimp on that, because that's where you just don't build the muscle mass that you normally would. But yeah, I mean, there's such a benefit to introducing so much more of the plants and the fruits and the vegetables into somebody's diet. And to this day, I still come across people and they're like, oh yeah, well, I don't really eat veggies because I don't like this or that. And I'm like, really? You can't find one vegetable that you can add to your plate? Are you 5 years old? Sometimes you just gotta step up and say, okay, maybe this isn't the greatest thing, or maybe I don't love this, but come on, we're grown men and women here.
Yeah, exactly. Good for you. Yeah, really. I don't like the taste of it.
That's what my 8-year-old tells me.
I can't eat
I still make him eat the vegetables.
Soft.
Yeah.
Right. Let's take another time out. We'll be right back. Early on in the podcast, years ago, long time ago, in the first 20 episodes, I think it was, I was introduced to a concept by a teacher called sip and nibble, which has been a staple of my game, which is a sip of water or a hydration drink or something, and a little bit of food grazing through your entire round of golf. I have found that if I have food at the turn, I'll blow up over the next 3 holes. And, that could be doubles and triple bogeys and worse, over those next. And I've never seen someone say, oh, that's all in your head. It's like, yeah, it could be in my head. Actually, it's not, because I just maintain primarily what I eat when I'm in a round of golf is peanut butter pretzels and dried mango, right? Mm-hmm. But again, it's not constantly eating. Every couple of shots, I'll take a little water, I'll take a little bite, and I can just let it last through an entire round. I think that's a great way to do it, as opposed to I'm hungry, I'm going to eat at the turn type of thing.
Yeah, and I mean, some of the things you can eat at the turn. I was at a member guest recently, and they had, it was like cheese curd nachos. I was like, I can't think of a worse thing. No, melted cheese curd French fries, I think. I can't think of a worse thing to put in my gut right now. I'm gonna either fall asleep in 4 holes, or So I'm with you. I typically I'll have sometimes just for convenience I'll bring like a protein bar. I'll bring a bag of almonds or walnuts or something like that. Maybe throw some dried cranberries or something along those lines in there. I always have a big bottle of water. Typically, I have it with me almost everywhere I go. Or I'll use like some hydration packs, some electrolyte packs to make sure that just staying hydrated through the round. But yeah, I'm not a guy that's going to go get a big hot dog or burger at the turn, because I'm with you. Like, it just kind of throws off the whole rhythm of everything too. I think I can picture going into the little snack shack, coming out. I have done it before where you get this big old burger and it's like, first you don't know, it's impossible to eat. You're driving in a cart or trying to walk, and it just totally throws you off. And then what it does to your insides
and you have to eat it quickly. Yeah, and you have to eat it quickly, or the squirrels are going to steal it. Yeah, yeah. It's just not that's not optimal performance. That right there, that's for sure. Yeah, well, and you live in St. Louis, so you don't get to play 12 months a year, and then in the prime of golf season, it's really humid.
Very.
Right?
Very
so
humid.
It's really draining. So like beer, it's got to be horrendous. I know it's St. Louis, but it's got to be tough to be drinking while you're playing in a high humidity. It's just, you're going to wipe yourself out. You got to pay attention to that
it's
stuff.
definitely not fueling your performance by any stretch of the imagination. And much like we were talking about just the nutrition side, the hydration side again is one of those things that if you take care of some of those simple things, you eat pretty well before your round, you don't do anything silly during your round. Same with your hydration. If you kind of hydrate the night before, especially here in St. Louis when it is like 90, 95 degrees and 90% humidity, you're going to sweat everything out. It can be brutal. And if you don't hydrate the day before or have some sort of electrolytes with you, just replenishing with water when it's that hot and humid out, your body's dripping with sweat and salt and everything. You have to replenish it with some of those electrolytes and minerals and everything that you've lost. Otherwise, that the water just doesn't do it, and you'll still feel tired and drag throughout the round, even though you're filling yourself up with water. So it's really important to use some of those different hydration. There's good quality ones too. Gatorade in a pinch is fine, and I'll usually dilute that with water or something. But there's some different products out there on the market that you rip the packet off, you pour it in your cup or your jug, and sip it throughout your round. That are very, very beneficial. And guys notice the difference right away when they do that, and if they haven't been before. Right.
Excellent point. I actually want to go back for a second. We were talking about running versus other activities you can do that are going to help you with golf. If I do anything outside of playing golf or walking my dog or going for a hike, I swim. And I think that swimming offers a tremendous amount of resistance without having to do weight training. Am I delusional here, or is swimming a valuable
I think
exercise
swimming.
plan?
I do like swimming. I like swimming a lot, especially swimming. And depending on the stroke that you're using too, really requires a lot of motion at the shoulder blades, trunk rotation. So those are very much going to carry over to your golf game. It doesn't provide as much as I would necessarily like in the resistance category through full ranges of motion. So for your legs, you're getting the kicking, but you're not getting the same kind of benefit that you would if you were doing some sort of like lunging or squatting type activity. So when somebody looks at the programs that we put together, we really try to get the golfer moving in so many different directions and angles, and we kind of base it around 5 big things, and that's kind of pushing and pulling with your upper body, and then doing some sort of like lunging or squatting activity, and then some sort of hinging activity, almost like getting into your golf posture. So a deadlift would be the exercise for that. And then we incorporate some rotation, or like we talked about before, anti-rotation stuff in there. So we try to hit the golfer with all these different angles, all these different vectors of resistance, so their body's kind of able to handle a lot of different situations. Because on the golf course, obviously we're rotating in all these different directions. You're getting uphill lies, downhill lies, so you never really know what your body's going to have to take on. And so that's why we like to almost kind of keep the body guessing throughout our workouts a little bit too, with all these different movements and angles. And swimming is a very repetitive motion. You're not going to get nearly the amount of variety that you would by doing some of the resistance stuff, even some of the, even stretching or mobility and those types of routines. So that's why we like to combine a lot of it. So swimming, if I was designing a program and somebody like you said, hey, I really like to swim, I would say, okay, well, let's use that for like your high intensity stuff. Let's use those on the days where, somebody might want to do the rower or might want to do their runs or jump rope or whatever. Like for you, Fred, we would throw swimming in there. Let's just like my buddy. I said, hey, do basketball. Use that. So that's where I would say there is a definite benefit, and you are getting some power out of that too. But I would still combine it with some other strength training exercises.
Yeah, well, I combine it with a lot of yoga and stretching, daily stretching. So lunges and squats are definitely part of that. Squats with rotation and whatnot. I feel good about that. What about, I saw something the other day on YouTube, and it's like sucked me in, and I hated that, but that's what happens on YouTube. Just doing the plank on a daily basis for at least a minute at a time is really good for your core.
Yes.
So it says. Let's talk about the plank.
Yeah, the plank is a fantastic exercise, but I would caution anybody that if you can hold a plank for longer than a minute, you're not doing as quality of a plank as I would like to see you do. So
wow.
When we get somebody in a plank, I really like to have that person create a lot of tension in their body. So tighten the stomach, tighten the legs, tighten the glutes, kind of tighten the upper body, the shoulder blades. And if you're holding all that tension, that's where you're really building up the core strength. But if you're doing it right, within 10, 15 seconds, you're going to start quivering and shaking a little bit. And so if you do it properly, a minute is a really, really, really long time. So I never have anybody hold a plank longer than a minute, because I feel like if we go past that, it wasn't an efficient plank. But with that being said, that activity is so great. And I love side planks too. I love even flipping people on their back and getting in a bridge position and bridging up and holding a plank that way too. So almost all 4 sides, because that's really what's working on stabilizing your abdominal muscles, the muscles around your spine, your back. You're just holding those. And your core is really meant for that, rather than, we think abdominals, we think core, we think crunches, we think all those kind of activities. But when you think about the way that we functionally use our core, it's typically to lock things down while our extremities are moving. And so doing a plank is really doing that. It's really locking everything down and teaching your body to be efficient in getting those muscles to contract and almost work like a corset for your abdominal region, your low back, your midsection, your sides. And so doing the planks in all of those different directions, and that's really kind of what the anti-rotation drills are too. They're really almost like planks with an external force pulling on you, which is why we love them so much.
Awesome. Let's talk about your new app, the 18Strong app.
Yeah, the app. So years ago, we started our podcast back in 2014, and really it was just a way to get some more information out there. It's just a great way for us to almost selfishly be able to talk to people and learn from some of these incredible people, and then we get to share that with our audience. And so that's kind of where the podcast started. And then over the course of the couple of years, we kept getting people asking us like, hey, do you have a program that we can do? What should I be doing? And so that's when we came out with our first product called the Golf Body Blueprint, and a couple other products after that. And at first we just had them as one-off products where people would just get them. They'd print out the tracking sheets for their workouts. They'd get the videos. And then just, I don't know when we released it, but it was just within the last year, we decided like, hey, let's put all of these in one convenient place. So we put it all on an app. So some people still love just printing out the sheets. I'm kind of an old school guy like that. I like to print out my sheets and track my numbers with my pen, what my weights were and things like that. But some people are so in tune with their phone and the convenience of being able to take that. So we've got all of those programs on there. There's the videos of every exercise. If you put the Golf Body Blueprint on your calendar, you've got 8 weeks laid out for you right there. It tells you everything you need to do every single day. You just open it up, tells you your reps, watch the video if you need to watch the video. So it's been a great way to make it really convenient for the people that love it to have it right there on their phone when they're traveling, doing all those kinds of things. So we've been really happy with it. We've gotten a lot of good feedback on it.
Awesome. Congratulations. Is it for Android and iOS?
It is
on both platforms?
Yes.
Great. And is there a charge for the app or your
The
program?
app is 19, I think it's $20 a month. But you get all of our programs in there. So we typically sell our 8-week training programs for $100. And so you get access to all of our programs within the app. There's a 7-day free trial. So if anybody wants to go check it out, they can just go to 18strong.com. You'll see the little free trial button there. So you can go check it out. And first thing I would do is go to, we talked about our daily motion, our EFD program earlier. That's in there. So you can look through that. And you can look through all the other programs if you want. I did want to mention that we have, we put together a page where anybody, even if you're not going on the app, anybody can get that EFD program at 18strong.com/EFD. We've got the videos and everything, no charges, nothing. We just want to get as many golfers moving on a daily basis. It's a 5 to 7 minute little movement routine, neck circles, shoulder circles, all things that you need to do to get your body moving well on a regular basis. So we decided we want to start giving that away to people just because it's kind of our mission here, get golfers moving all over the world.
Awesome. Great mission. Great conversation, man. Thank you so much for your time. I really enjoyed speaking to you, and good luck with the podcast and good luck with the app.
Oh, thank you so much for having me, and keep doing what you're doing, man. It's a lot of fun to be on here with one of the very original golf podcasters. This is great. Thank you, Fred.
Got a great story for you. Back in 2010, the U.S. Open was played at Pebble Beach, and to this day is the only major won by Graham McDowell, shooting even par over the 4 rounds. He was followed by Gregory Havret of France. Ernie Els came in third at +2, and tied for fourth at 3 over were Tiger and Phil. After the event was over, the host section of the USGA, Northern California's NCGA, to which I belong, had a members' auction of the scorecards that were posted in the media center showcasing each player's progress over the weekend. I was intrigued, but wasn't about to get into a bidding war for something I couldn't afford. So, as I sometimes have a very warped mind, I thought to myself, now wait a minute, who made the cut but came in dead last? So I scrolled down the list and I found the name Jason Prio. Never heard of him before, so I guess no one else had either. So I offered something like, $30 or $35, and won the auction to get Jason's scorecard, which is more like a poster than a scorecard. Now I was intrigued. So I found out that 31-year-old Jason Prio was the golf coach at Valor Christian High School in Highlands Ranch, Colorado. Apparently, after trying for more than a decade to qualify for the U.S. Open, that year Jason won medalist honors at his Colorado sectional with scores of 65 and 71 to fulfill his dream of playing in our country's prestigious Open Championship. So, this week on Golf Smarter Mulligans 141, you'll hear my conversation with Jason after I invited him to share his story on Golf Smarter.
I definitely, the first couple of days, thought, okay, I'm going to stay as patient as I can. I don't want to try and get myself in a position where I'm a lot over par real early. So I'm going to play to the right spots and trust that if you do miss a shot, if it comes off a foot short or 2 feet to the right and it's in the rough, that you trust your short game because you're in the right spot. You just try and stay patient. Definitely tried to do that the first couple of days. And then day 3, I think I may have changed a little bit in that, okay, I'm 3 over par, I'm a few shots back. Let's see if we can actually play a good round. I started thinking more about, instead of thinking about the process, thinking about, okay, let's play a whole good round of golf together and see what could happen. So you're thinking too much about the end result. You get a few over par early and you want to try and get it back instead of just accepting that you're 4 over par in the U.S. Open and probably not going to get too many back, but if you can stay there, it's still not a bad round. So you focus on the end instead of focus on what you're doing in the moment.
There's actually an ironic conclusion to my story with Jason. About a year later, my son and a college friend of his walked into my office after a round of golf and were checking out my sports memorabilia. My son was like, oh, you got to check out my dad's stuff because this kid was a big sports fan. Well, when the friend saw the scorecard that I had on the wall, he said, Jason Prio? I was amazed. I asked, you've heard of Jason Prio? He said, heard of him? He was my high school golf coach. That's episode 141 of Golf Smarter Mulligans being released this Friday. Golf Smarter Mulligans are the best podcasts from the early episodes of Golf Smarter that are just no longer available on any podcast app. Providing 2 episodes of Golf Smarter each week is why we call these the Golfers Podcasts. Please write a review, subscribe, and follow both of our golf podcasts so that you can hear a brand new episode when it becomes available. Now, today's episode kicks off our 17th year of Golf Smarter, and we ain't done yet. Not only will we continue to bring back some of your favorite teachers who are the unsung heroes of golf instruction. You won't see these guys on TV. We'll meet new people, hear their unique stories, learn about new products, and hopefully travel to fun and exotic places. And if all goes according to schedule, this will be my first year attending the PGA Merchandise Show in Orlando, where I'll bring a recorder to the floor of the exhibit hall to hear firsthand about products that will soon be available to everyone. That's another reason why I say that Golf Smarter is your podcast for caddy, providing interesting and relevant information to help all golfers lower their scores and raise their golf IQ. So, like caddies and for caddies, we don't object to, tips for the services provided. And if every golfer who listens offers just a small amount each month or a one-time donation, we'll be able to continue providing you these crazy stories and great information for a long time to come. Our tip jar is now open. Just click on donate at GolfSmarter.com. And thank you so much for your continued support. And I want to send out thanks to June Gaston for today's episode intro. June is now eligible to win a box of balls with the Golf Smarter logo, and you could be too. I'd really like to have you introduce our newest episodes in 2022, so let me hear from you. Please click on the Hey Fred button at GolfSmarter.com and let me know that you'd like to introduce our next episode. I'll assign you an episode number, then you call our toll-free Golf Smarter listener line and record the show open. And for every 10 golfers who participate, we'll have a drawing for those exclusive Golf Smarter branded balls. And your chances of winning are excellent, as there's only 10 names in each drawing. Again, click on the Hey Fred button at GolfSmarter.com and you'll be eligible to win. And as we finally say goodbye to 2021, let's hear what happened last week on All the F Words podcast with Gabby Moskowitz and my wife, Joanne Green. All the F Words features two writer friends who are 30 years apart in age, talking about things they give an F about. Each Friday, they pick a word that begins with a letter F and offer the unique perspectives from a millennial and a boomer. And this week's topic? Flirting.
Gabby, I have a really important question to ask you. With masks and COVID and variants and the Me Too culture, is flirting canceled?
You know, Joanne, I really don't think so. First of all, I think we're in consequence culture, not cancel culture. I think cancel culture is a lie. Second of all, last I checked, it's possible to wink at someone while you're wearing a mask.
Winking is so weird. How about batting your eyelashes? Here, I'm going to flirt with you, Gabby.
Oh yeah, it's working.
This week on All the F Words, we're talking about flirting. You can find us anywhere you get your podcasts, All the F Words.
And we are on social media. We're on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook. We're at All the F Words Pod.